Let's go, girls.
The White Cloaks are right.
Welcome to the White Cloaks review of episode 2, where this show makes me look incredibly stupid. I repeatedly expressed a desire to actually see Rand al'Thor on the Wheel of Time show, and as soon as I said it, I watched the first finger of this monkey paw curl in. Episode 2 starts with Rand on a battlefield, drenched in blood, picking up his sword. The show has broken me to the extent that I never even considered this wasn't a dream. As inconsistent as the characters are in the show, I can confidently say that the Rand we've seen portrayed so far would never use his sword. That would be interesting, and the characters in the show don't actually do interesting things. Consider for a moment that we are now 11 episodes into the Wheel of Time show, and Rand has yet to get any blood on his sword. The closest we've gotten is him seppukuing himself in Dreamland in episode 8. That is absolutely mind-blowing. What Rand al'Thor does do in this show, however, is brood, and apparently sleep with the Forsaken because Selene is hanging out in bed and wants him to come back and warm her up.
Let me die in peace.
I don't know what to say about this. I'm just going to continue. He turns down a very dry hand job and instead decides to go to work.
That's rough, buddy.
While on his way, he gives money to an orphan boy, which was a nice touch, and then somebody throws a tortilla at him, which was bizarre. For the first time in the series, I genuinely felt like I was in a place and not a studio set, so never let it be said I don't occasionally give the show its due. I also am forced to take another L. While Natasha O'Keefe still isn't attractive enough to play Lanfear, some of the Lord Farquaad jokes that I made about her are looking foolish in hindsight. She is a good-looking woman. Some of Kyrian's towers don't have tops on them yet, which was a nice little Easter egg. Rand hands his work visa to this elf because that's the sort of thing that gets checked in a functioning nation, and then he goes into the big part of the city. For the people asking, no, Wheel of Time doesn't have elves. I don't know why this man has pointed ears. Rand then decides to walk like he doesn't have a mangina for a minute so the marketing team can put something together for the trailer. It would be nice if he kept it rolling, but this is Wheel of Prime.
We don't do that here.
We then head back to the Longhouse where Moraine is currently chafing under having to take even the slightest bit of accountability for her ridiculous actions. She predictably is a bitch to Lan.
I would never hit a woman, nah! But I'll shake the shit out of a woman. What the hell's wrong with you? You crazy woman? I'll kill you, girl! The fuck you tossing salads for?
Pern, Ingtar, Massima's deltoids, and the Shanarans are following Pad and Fane on the trail for the Horn of Valir. I have no idea what the time frame is here. If there was a 5-month time gap between Season 1 and Season 2, like we've been told, how has Pad and Fane not already made it to Falma? Wouldn't the Shanshan already have the Horn of Valir?
Stop asking questions!
SEAL Team Shinar tracks Fane to this shitty village. Perrin sees a woman through the window like in the books, but Lanfear is currently riding Rand's dick back in Kyrian, not following him around, so this makes no fucking sense. They wander into the room and Perrin's plot senses tingle, showing him Fane's party blowing up this family's dinner. I am genuinely confused about how wolf senses allow one to see into the past. What triggers these visions? Can Elias always see into the past?
Stop asking questions!
Massima's triceps then come to tell Perrin and Ingtar that they found a Fade nailed to a door. I have no idea how you make one of the most iconic scenes in the entire series this boring, but somehow they managed it. I also have no idea why Pad and Fane would nail a Fade to a door. In the book series, it's because he's not fully loyal to the Dark One and he's finally powered up enough to not take orders from Fades. Here it's because, I'm assuming because it happened in the books.
Stop asking questions!
We flash back to Rand at the mental asylum where he's hanging out with a nut job named Earl. Not that one. Rand is nice to Earl, and I kinda like nice Rand. I just need to see him, do stuff. We found out from Earl that Aiel women are fiercer than the men, because of course they are, but the men are also very fierce, and that he's been teaching Rand sword forms. I guess. I have no idea what of this is legitimate and what of this is just taking the piss. This asshole here decides to trigger the old man's PTSD for a laugh, which is behavior extremely befitting a caretaker in a mental asylum, and he drops the piece of dialogue that Rand needed to move on to the next step in his quest. And yes, with the benefit of hindsight, you can now see that Rand is quite literally following a video game quest that would look perfectly in place out of something like one of the bad Dragon Age entries. Leandrin pulls Nynaeve out of kitchen duty to talk shit about her country bumpkin healing ways, and then pitch her the merits of prejudiced mob justice. She wants Nynaeve to rush to take her accepted test so that Leandrin can begin training Nynaeve individually. Considering the last time these two interacted, Leandrin blasted Nynaeve with the one power and then cut her off from the source. Why would Nynaeve even consider working with Leandrin in the first place, much less go out of her way to make it happen?
Stop asking questions!
Leandrin then goes to visit Matt for reasons. She leaves and Matt goes back to Shawshanking. I kind of liked his little mannerisms here with the lock. That's good acting and directing. It's kind of charming. But then, fuck me sideways, my least favorite book character is here. Elan Tricand, or as this show has decided on, retarded Hermione. Simultaneously so stupid as to mistake all of Egwene's worldly possessions with trash, but smart enough to correctly identify the exact backwater village Egwene is from based on the stitching of her blanket. This is genuinely what passes for competent writing in Hollywood. We even get the super cringy, "Oh my god, I am so excited to live amongst the pores and give up my privileged standing" speech that only dumbasses who are brainwashed by communism believe. Can I also get a goddamn dialogue check? Does it get more 21st century than, you know, the whole daughter heir of Andor thing? Can we at least pretend like this goddamn show is happening around the pre-Enlightenment era and have this bint stop speaking in the truly godforsaken hybrid of posh Londoner and California Valley girl? Women talking. Nynaeve stalks Leandrin and finds a secret tunnel because the wind is really loud there. Because wind is notorious for being very loud in sealed basement chambers.
Why are you the way that you are?
We're back with SEAL Team Shinar, and this time we're going through Shit Village number 3, but this one is on the water. I'm not really a music guy, but during the watch on the Discord, the entire chat blew up with distaste for the music coming into this village. I guess people don't like electric guitars in their fantasy shows, which, you know, duh. We spend what feels like an eternity walking through this village so that we can establish Elias will be sleeping outside. Great use of our time, boys. We've now gone 14 minutes without seeing Rand. But we go back to Moraine instead, who is hanging out with Varen. This scene is another one that's kinda like the books. Varen is needling around Moraine's secrets and confirms by Moraine's reaction that one of the 3 boys is the Dragon Reborn. But in the books, Moraine and Siuan reach for the power, assumedly to wrap her up and cut her off and force her to take an oath of secrecy. In the show, Moraine goes for her knife, presumably to stab Varen to death.
Boy, that escalated quickly.
Next came a scene that they almost pulled off. Rand is pretending to be Batman, stalking his asshole coworker, preparing to get him alone and beat his ass. Be honest, we've all thought about it. He's handing out some good old-fashioned Detroit justice when his powers randomly activate, and what starts out as a regular scrap turns into first-degree murder. I was enjoying this scene right up until this moment. Jordan Peterson talks about an idea that encompasses Rand's personality from the books very well. His thesis is that a harmless man is not a good man because that person is ineffectual and incapable of changing things for the better. A good man is a very dangerous man who holds that danger under voluntary control. The show portrays that Rand is a nice man very well. He gives money to orphans, he helps the mentally ill, blah 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 blah. But this is the first time that Rand has shown himself to be dangerous. Rand made affirmative choices here to punish cruelty, but right at the last moment, things fall away as he loses control and goes over the line. It's a frustrating portrayal.
We were on the verge of greatness. We were this close.
Either way, this is either the best or second best scene in the show through 3 episodes. He comes back to his house and Selene can smell the danger on him. She's frothing. She sexually assaults him and then Rand puts her up against the wall and this turns into 50 Shades of Gay. We then get more Elaine and Egwene. I might have given the first bit of this scene a pass, where Elaine admits to letting Egwene give her a tour of the place she already knows so that she can have an excuse to chat, if it weren't for the next part. Shiriam justifiably blows her top at Elaine's quarters being non-regulation, and demands to know who helped her sneak her stuff into the tower. Elaine refuses to give up the sister who helped her, which is supposed to make you like her, because not ratting out your co-conspirators and taking the punishment on yourself is noble. But like, not if it was your plan in the first place and it was so retarded that it was impossible to succeed. At best, you're back to square zero, and
Get what you fucking deserve!
but the show doesn't get this, and it acts like this is a heroic thing they did. It's very poorly executed emotional manipulation. Nynaeve then follows Leandrin, who goes to visit her dying 95-year-old son, and we get the seeds of what is supposed to be Leandrin's sympathetic backstory. She then slaps the shit out of Nynaeve, which I applaud. Nynaeve didn't deserve it for this, but I still haven't forgotten her attempted murder of Lan in Season 1, so this has been a long time coming.
Fuck that bitch, slap that hoe, fuck that bitch.
But more importantly, why does Leandrin need a sympathetic backstory? Who the hell is this story about? What are our main characters here?
Stop asking questions!
Through all of his Shawshanking, Matt digs into Min's cell, and they meet. More old women talking, this time giving basically the story of Moraine and Lan meeting from a new spring. Mormon and Matt hanging out. She sees a vision of him stabbing Rand. I'm calling it now. Matt is going to stab Rand to free him from Ishi's influence, giving him the wound in his side, because this show truly is bad Harry Potter fan fiction. We get a scene of Rand and Celine hanging out in bed, each confirming to the other that they do not in fact love each other and are only using each other for mutual comfort. I get she's hinting at Luz Theron, but this is ugly. It would be impossible for the show to be more targeted at lonely socialist middle-aged women who reek of cat piss, who occasionally get laid by being a woman with a working front hole, but who are neither hot enough nor likable enough to convince a man to stick around. Elaine makes toilet wine, Egwene confesses being jealous, Nynaeve overhears and her feelings are hurt because I'm watching an episode of 90210. Leandrin summons Nynaeve for her accepted test, and so she walks down the hallway to the arches, which are now mostly busted garbage. Moraine is a bitch to Lan again in an attempt to push him away again, and we get some exposition about the Forsaken. Do you know Rand could be sneaking the Horn of Valir and Shatter Logoth dagger away from Padden Fane's camp right now? Just a thought. Moraine rides off to do fuck knows what while Lan stands there like a gormless dipshit and watches. Where his horse is so that he could follow her, the creator only knows.
Stop asking questions!
The Seanchan arrive in the town Perrin is at and try and drag him away by the feet at night. What follows is one of the most bizarrely discordant scenes I have ever seen. Perrin is being dragged for like 90 seconds like a goddamn muppet. Meanwhile, Massima's biceps have a sword and are having a genuinely impressive fight with the Seanchan soldiers in the background. Massima's played by Arnis, I'm not going to pronounce that last name, who played Citric in The Last Kingdom, which is a legitimately excellent show with very impressive fight scenes. It is wild to behold how much better he is at stage combat than anybody else in the Wheel of Time. Loyal hulks out and starts throwing Seanchan soldiers around like they're toddlers. I liked this. There's a bit in the Great Hunt book where Loyal eats a Trolloc, which I absolutely love. He should be ragdolling these dudes. Perrin even kind of does something in this fight. He's hitting guys with the truncheon and having Loyal's back. Ingtar is rallying the Shinarans. It's actually not horrible right up until it is. Ingtar gets everybody lined up in a perfect line just in time for them to completely freeze up and let the Damani truck them. And now it's time to have the conversation. Let's talk about the Damani. If you felt the need to get rid of the leashes because they were too sexual fetishy, what the hell are you doing rolling them out in fucking ball gags? Also, what the hell is with the half blackface we've got going on here?
So we just gonna ignore that hate crime, huh?
Lady Suroth shows up riding on Xerxes' pyramid from 300 and we're treated to some bizarre camera work. Also, Ishi is here. Why is Ishi here? Doesn't the Dark One win if he kills Perrin? Why is Ishi not setting Perrin on fire right now?
Stop asking questions!
We cut away, and finally Rand shows up to work and gets promoted because he beat his predecessor to death. Because he finished that event in his mission log, he's now unlocked the area called Loghain's Courtyard. How the hell did Rand know that Loghain was trapped in a nut house in Carhian? Why is Loghain locked in a nut house in Carhian? Didn't Sawan say that he would live out his days watched and studied by Aes Sedai? What the hell is happening here?
Stop asking questions!
Ultimately, this is still a horrendous adaptation, but it's a little better than episode 1. There are at least fumbling attempts at reaching towards book material with Perrin's group. Even though it's utterly incoherent without the foundational pieces in place, I at least appreciate nonsensical garbage attempting to be similar to the books more than I do the nonsensical garbage that is completely made up by these talentless hack writers. As a television show, my notes are basically the same. It's still flaming dog shit, and I firmly maintain that through 10 episodes, the show has not yet managed to put together a single complete scene, but we had 2 in this episode where the rocket at least made it off the ground before exploding and killing everybody aboard. At the current rate of progress, this show might actually be watchable by 2042, which is a shame because I'm praying it gets put out of its misery as soon as humanly possible. I'll see you tomorrow, hopefully for episode 3 review. Hey, Alex Green here, recording after the original script was recorded. Just wanted to say thank you for everybody who responded to the last video that I did. It's really nice to see the positive feedback, and I love you guys, and I appreciate everything you do.